want to jump into more of your shorts. So maybe I'll just go through my two quick ones and then we'll jump into yours.
Okay.
All right. So again, the one good one I had, this WDC that we had working from last week with that buy through 58, just kind of break even, stop, letting it work its way out of this base. We saw this week, other than like the bull flags, a lot of these bases have been starting to break out. So just kind of sitting pretty with these, but again, much slower trade. A bad trade was this GLW. I've been in this for a little bit. This was like a support buyback that just didn't work initially. I got this, what day was it? It's like August 7th up through 29. And this is one of those names where it's like, it was super beat up, came into support, and started to turn, and I was just too early with it. And I picked up a little bit, like above 28. And I'll still buy through 29, but it's one of those things where even with these support buybacks, you don't get that quick, like, deep bottom off lows. Like, it's going to be a much slower trade.
Right.
And these are those ones that just really test your patience, where, like, even right now, my price is probably like 28.5. So it's like you just kind of get stuck in these names for a little bit, and they kind of just annoy you more than what they're worth. But that was like one of my bad trades for the week. Again, I'm still in it. I really shouldn't have been buying it yet.
Okay. It didn't tell you it was ready to turn yet.
Yeah. I was just way too early with it.
That's fair.
But let's jump into yours, because you had a crazy call in the shakedown, and all those names got destroyed today. So I'd rather
so I mean, I've been talking about these VEEV earnings and how much of a surprise it was that they weren't raging to me. All these software names are absolute market leaders, and I highlighted 4 on the shakedown. It was Twilio, what was it? Was it Trade Desk, MDB, and then finally VEEV, Viva Systems. And I've been highlighting this VEEV because they had such great earnings. And what we've seen these companies do when they have these huge these growth earnings where the sales are growing like crazy, we've seen the stock just rage and rage and rage. And then we just saw something materially change where they had the great earnings and they sold off. So I've just been hawking all these names, and I came in pretty ready to short these things. I mean, I was thinking the market needed to do some backing and filling, meaning we were a bit overbought coming into the week. I thought that resistance had to be retested. So I was feeling that the software names or names that were relatively weak would be shortable on a day like today. So, I mean, right off the open, I just nailed this Twilio and this VEEV short. I had really tight high day stops, and I definitely covered way too soon because I didn't foresee this absolute like death in these names. And these names, like, they got damaged. They're going to need weeks and weeks and weeks to repair. And it could be a wary sign for, investors' risk in the marketplace right now, these names. But I saw them rolling over. This Twilio, this 150-day moving average, whatever it is, it was supporting it the whole way up. And then since its earnings gap down, it became resistance. And when you see something like that happen in one of these names that is on such a vicious tear on a weekly chart, it might be time for the stock to roll over. And this stock is up. What is it up? It's up, 500% in the last 2 years? So when it runs to roll, when it runs to roll over, it's going to roll so hard. And I was covering too quick, but I'm always like that with shorts. I'm more in it for the day trade, the quick trade. I'm not, macro weekly charting these ideas. But I saw an opportunity to take a shot in these names right off the open. I got pretty heavy, and I absolutely capitalized.
I mean, it's just nutty. Look, like typing up all 4. Down 8%, down 9.5%, down 9%, down 8%. Like all 4 of them got absolutely destroyed.
Right. But we got all that information Friday. We saw how weak these names were. Everyone was going. We had Twitter long last week, and it was closing strong into the week, and all these other things. And then we saw all the software names that we thought were kind of at inflection points that might be turned into support buys. They're all just getting fucking destroyed. So that was the information that we needed to see and we needed to realize in order to take advantage of. So like this trade, it wasn't like, it wasn't a lucky thing or anything like that. I had so much information coming into that today. I knew what prices I wanted to hit. I just had to click a few buttons and it was coming in ready to execute. That was the real difference maker today.
It's like I feel like we haven't really talked about shorts a lot, and just in general, because it's like the sexy thing to do.
Right.
But this is just it's like how we buy high and sell higher. It's like this: you just flip the chart upside down. Like you shorted through lows, you covered lower. It's like so simple. But again, with the new guy, they're gonna want to like buy puts or do something crazy where it's like this is just simple. Short into the price, high day stop, covering lower.
And it's super funny. It's super funny. The psychology of a new guy. Someone I've been talking about this short on the side with. Someone who's just like, they're a little more timid to speak up in the chat, so I just talk on the side with them. They're taking this trade with me, and when it was down at Twilio was down at 116 when it's already down like $8 on the day. He's like, "You think this is a good opportunity to hit more?" And I'm like, "No, like no." But it's funny. He didn't hit all he wanted to at 122 when the trade was triggering, but he wanted to hit so much more at 116. It's just like psychology of things.
Yeah.
But bad trade. I have more importantly, I have bad trade to talk about. Let's talk about the ZM from last week. I got fucking lit up in it. Might have resulted in a broken keyboard or two. But listen, this is trading, and this is something very important I wanted to highlight. We were talking about for days and maybe weeks coming into this, this ZM range, how wide range, how high beta of a stock this is, and how when it broke this range, whether it be resistance or support, it was going to break hard. So they had great earnings. They gapped up the stock, and I said going in, I'm just going to go whichever way the stock gaps. That's what I'm going to go with. So it gapped up, so I had a long bias. They had great earnings. They raised guidance for the future, and they had a great technical chart. So these are all things I look for in setups. So I can't be mad at this setup. In the moment, because it was a quick loss off the open, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to break my keyboard. I'm sorry, keyboard. But off the open, it triggered that 96 so beautifully, and it sucked all the longs in. The resistance for the range for the last 3 weeks has been 96. So it sucks us in long, and then the seller just absolutely slams it down. And yes, I took a loss. Now, in looking at the stock, my loss 96 versus 92, that's tight because the stock's at 78 now. So what do we know? We know that once it broke the range, it was going to break hard. Our bias was just wrong. And it triggered the long trade. So I can't be mad at that trade. It falls directly in my system. I have the utmost confidence in my system that things work out over the long haul because we play a game of probability. We don't know shit. So, this triggered so well, high volume on earnings. This is a perfect system trade for me. I can't be mad at this loss. You be mad at losses when they're UFAs, when it's a tennis term, unforced errors, like when you hit it into the net in tennis. You never had a chance. Those are the ones to be mad at when something doesn't trigger and you take a big loss, things like that. But it's something like this where it falls directly in my wheelhouse. This is a trade I'm taking 15 out of 10 times. Yes, the loss sucked, but that's part of trading. You don't know which way things are going to break. So, that's how you get to the next level psychologically trading. If you can take a loss like that, I risked it big on that one and I lost. But I'm going to take that trade every time it sets up. So that's how you get to the next level trading. You can't be psychologically mad at yourself for taking that loss. That's a good loss to me.
That was one like on Friday. A couple of guys were like whining about it, like, "Oh, I'm stopped out." And it was, again, out of all the trades this year, we've been like very lucky with 1% stop outs, break even stops, like not really big losses. And this one, even when you say 4%, like for a new guy who doesn't trade, it's like that sounds like the tiniest loss because they're used to
4%. The name's down 22% since earnings. So it's like we know it's going to make that. That's already 5-1. Whoever took the trade the other way.
So that's where it's like you look at it like you said. Now it's like, okay, you took like a 4% loss, and that sucks in that moment. But then now it's like that's you kind of get, if you get like greedy with it and you lose 25% in 2 days, like that's a really hard pill to kind of come back from. So that's why we just sticking with those stop losses. And
no. I mean, I'm mad at the P&L trade. I'm mad it didn't work out, but like taking that trade, I'm not mad at all. I took the trade. If it went and I missed it and I've been staring at it for weeks, I would have been really mad at myself.
Yeah. It's all right. You want to jump